You're listening to Girls Can Tell. Here's your host, Trent Erickson. Tall, opinionated, slightly over it.
So, I'm back on the apps. And surprise, it's the exact kind of special hell I left a while back. The people who are interested in me, I'm not interested in. The people I'm interested in never seem to know I even exist. I send out well-placed likes, maybe a thoughtful comment that shows I actually read their profile, and silence. Meanwhile, the people I do match with feel like they swiped right by accident and are now trying to figure out how to quietly back away. And I tell myself this story. The women I'm into are buried in likes. They're not ignoring me, they just never even see me because their entire app time is spent swiping away a pile of dudes who got there first. That's what I tell myself anyway. Recently, I finally got a like back from a woman I swiped on so long ago I hardly remember even sending it. Her message basically said, "Sorry, I'm only seeing this now. I had to scroll through a ton of guys to even get to you. You were buried." Buried. That's what this episode is about. How dating apps can make everyone feel disposable, and why it can feel almost impossible to play it right. And I'm answering a couple of questions from listeners. So if you've got one, send them to girlscantellpodcast@gmail.com. Let's start with how getting buried under a pile actually feels like. And I don't mean that in a good way. You open the app, see someone you like, put some intention into a like or a message, and it feels like you're shouting into the void. You picture her on the other side of the screen, phone lighting up with an inbox full of hearts and fire emojis, your face somewhere in a sea of gym selfies and guys holding fish. You're competing with other men, but not only that, you're competing with volume. And that does something to your head. You start wondering, am I invisible? Am I delusional for even shooting my shot here? Is this just a losing battle for guys who aren't 6'2" neurosurgeons with huskies and ski photos? When that woman told me I was buried under a stack of other guys, it weirdly made me feel a tiny bit better, because it confirmed I wasn't crazy to think my likes weren't even being seen. The system is noisy, and it can mess with your sense of worth. Here's where the science comes in. Psychologists call this choice overload. In normal life, a few options are helpful, but when you have hundreds, your brain melts down. You search more, reject more, and even feel less happy with any decision you do make. Dating apps are designed on that overload. One study found that daily dating app user can see around 140 potential partners in one day. Another experiment showed that when people choose a date from a big set of profiles, they liked their choice less a week later compared to people who picked from a smaller set. So imagine you're the woman on the other side of the app. You open it and there's a giant wall of hearts and "Hey beautiful" messages. Because you don't have time to carefully evaluate 140 people a day, you just learn to swipe away as fast as possible. You start saying no way more than yes because that's the only way to deal. You're not thoughtfully dusting a shelf, you're shoveling snow off a runway. From your side, as the guy, it feels like rejection. From her side, it feels like the only way. But none of that makes it any less frustrating. But it does mean your invisibility is more about the design of the apps than your value as a person. Now let's talk about the high-value woman you're drawn to. Online dating research shows most people aim up the ladder. On average, men and women reach out to partners about 25% more desirable than themselves, based on how many messages those people get from everyone else. So the people at the top aren't just getting a few extra likes, they're getting a shit ton more. That woman you see as attractive, put together, smart, with a great profile? You're not the only one who thinks that. She sits in the part of the app where everyone is reaching. So while you're thinking maybe we'd be a good fit, 52 other guys that hour are thinking the same thing. This also helps to explain the two text and disappear pattern we often see. You match, she replies, you respond, maybe there's a little something, and then nothing. You think about what you said, wondering what went wrong. Meanwhile, on her screen, she's juggling 10 conversations, 3 new matches, and a full life offline. Then when something shinier or easier pops up, or she just gets tired, your conversation loses momentum. It feels personal, but it's probably just math and exhaustion. When there's always another option, one swipe away, no single person feels urgent. There's another part of this that makes the whole thing feel unwinnable. On dating apps, you can't just talk to one person at a time. You'd be an idiot to do that. Statistically, 90 to 98% of matches are going to vanish, flake, or quietly fade out. So if you only focus on one and she disappears after 2 messages, you're back to 0. During that time, the 5 other matches you weren't talking to have gone cold because you didn't respond in time. So you end up doing what everyone does: portfolio dating. You juggle multiple conversations at once because math and common sense say you have to. You're half invested in 5 people instead of fully invested in one. That creates a new problem. You can't put your whole self into any of them. You're trying to remember who likes hiking, who has a dog, who hates small talk, who lives by the train, and what you already told which person so you don't repeat your own stories like a psychopath. Nothing feels natural. It feels like customer service. Last week, I was texting 3 different women at the same time. One asked me what I was doing this weekend. I almost asked her the same question back, but had to go through our text to see if she had already told me, or if that was another one because I couldn't remember who told me what. If instead you decide, I'm old school, I'm just going to focus on one person at a time and see where it goes, you get punished for that too, because while you are putting real time into one chat, the app keeps feeding her new options, and if it doesn't click instantly, she drifts. And when that one fizzles, all your other matches have expired, unmatched, or moved on. It's almost impossible to play it right. For this to work the way it should, you'd have to hit this tiny window of timing and mutual intention. You match with the right person, on the right day, when you both happen to be in the mood to talk to just one person, and you both silently decide to ignore everyone else and actually give each other a real shot. So when we beat ourselves up asking, why can't I connect? What's wrong with me? Why does everything die after 3 texts? We're ignoring the dating culture we're in. The apps are built for volume and spinning plates, not deep connections and focus on one person. No wonder nobody feels special. This wastes time and changes your level of investment. When enough conversations die mid-sentence, you stop bringing your whole effort. You shorten your messages and stop asking real thoughtful questions. You get more sarcastic, more detached, more, we'll see. And you start assuming every new match is just a countdown to a ghosting. And all that assumption bleeds through in how you talk, even if you don't mean for it to. I had a match recently where we talked for 3 days straight, real conversation, not just, hey, what's up? Then I suggested meeting for a coffee, and nothing. She just stopped replying. A week later, she liked one of my Instagram posts. I have no idea what that means, and I'm too tired to figure it out. On her side, she's exhausted too. Maybe it's not just a sea of flaky, commitment-phobic people after all. Maybe there's simply too much coming at all of us all the time. When your phone is constantly serving up new faces, even the people who genuinely want something real struggle to justify locking in on one person and tuning out the rest. It stops being a character issue and starts looking more like a time management problem, where even good people can't slow down long enough to actually invest in one person on the other side. Studies on modern ghosting show people don't often bail because someone did something wrong, but because they're overwhelmed or burned out, and disappearing feels easier than saying, hey, I'm not feeling this. When there's a constant stream of other matches available, ghosting can even feel justified, like, well, they must be dealing with the same overload and probably won't even notice if we stop texting. And they aren't necessarily wrong. So you end up with 2 burned out people, both a little jaded, both guarding their time and energy, interacting through an app that encourages everyone to treat others like a maybe. This is the part where podcasts usually pivot into 10 hacks to beat the algorithm. That's not this podcast. But there are ways to protect your sanity a bit. One is to limit your choices. Studies have shown that smaller sets of options lead to more satisfaction and fewer takebacks. So instead of matching with everyone that's just okay, you can set a hard limit by asking yourself, how many people can I realistically put an actual effort into talking to like a human being at once? 3, 1, 4. You can decide in advance what effort on their part looks like for you. If someone can't reply with more than 1-word answers or disappears and comes back whenever they're bored, Don't keep them in the rotation. Clearly, they're just not invested, so you aren't exactly hurting their feelings if you drop them. Most importantly, treat apps simply as introductions. You're just trying to see if there's overlap between your life and someone else's attention span. All right, before I wrap this up, I'm bringing back something I used to do in early episodes, answering listener questions. I've pulled 2 this week. The first is from Cassandra in Long Beach, who says, I matched with someone a couple of months ago, never messaged him, and now I'm wondering if it's weird to reach out. Would you find that creepy or desperate? Not creepy, just late. Here's the thing. If he's still on the app and you're still interested, send the message. Worst case, he doesn't respond. Best case, he says, oh, hey, I forgot we matched. And you start a conversation. Here's what I'd actually do. Don't apologize for the delay or make it weird. Don't say, sorry, I never messaged. Just message him like you would have 2 months ago. Hey, I saw you're into something from his profile. Have you tried this? If he's interested, he'll respond. If he's not, he won't. But either way, what's the worst that could happen? He probably won't even remember he matched with you in the first place. The only way it gets creepy is if you over-explain or act like you've been thinking about him the whole time. You matched, you didn't talk, now you're talking, that's it. Send it, see what happens. And this one's from Allie in Dallas. I'm dating someone for 6 weeks and things are going well, but I have kids. When do I introduce them to him? I don't want to wait too long, but I also don't want to bring someone into their lives who might not stick around. Well, this kind of depends on the age of the kids and what kind of relationship you have with them. But let's assume they're over the age of 10 and you treat them like a 10-year-old. And this is one of those questions where there's no perfect answer, but there are clearly some wrong ones. The first wrong answer is introducing them on day 3 because you're excited. And the second wrong answer is waiting a full year because you're terrified of screwing up your kids. Here's what I'd think about it. How serious is this? Not do I like them, but can I actually see this going somewhere real? If you're still in the we'll see phase, don't introduce them yet. Your kids don't need to meet every yahoo you're casually dating. That's just common sense. But if you've been seeing someone for a few months, you're spending real time together and it feels like it's moving towards something committed, then yeah, it's probably time. And when you do, keep it low key. Don't make it a big event. Just have them around in a casual setting, grab lunch, go to a park, do something you'd normally do anyway. Let your kids see how this person interacts with you in real life. Not in some staged meeting the kids setup. That'll only make everyone act unnatural and be uncomfortable. I mean, the guy might be uncomfortable in any setting, but there's no reason for everyone to be. One more thing. Talk to the person you're dating first. Make sure they're ready for that step too, because once your kids are involved, the stakes change for everyone and the dynamics of the relationship might be different. If you've got a question about dating apps, relationships, or just navigating things in general, send it to girlscantellpodcast@gmail.com or DM me on Instagram at girlscantellpodcast. I promise I'll try to answer all of them and showcase the ones I feel could be most helpful to people on the podcast. All right, back to wrapping this up. If you feel like you're losing at a game you never agreed to play in the first place, you're not the only one. The system encourages hedging, constant swiping, and disposable conversations. It punishes focus, depth, and taking your time. So if you're out there feeling buried in the pile, wondering what you're doing wrong, it might not be that you're doing anything wrong at all. It just might be that you're a human being in an app built to keep everyone looking for the next better or easier thing. The goal isn't to crush it on the apps. The goal is to stay human long enough that when the right person does manage to see through the noise, you're still willing to show up as yourself, not just another tired profile in someone else's stack. There are so many people out there looking for the same thing we are. Something real, something that lasts, something that gets started in the first place. You see them everywhere in the forums and comments, all saying they're tired of the BS on the apps. With that many people wanting the same thing, it should be easy. And the fact that it isn't tells you how broken the system really is.